Hello everyone, I am Pankaj Chaudhary and today we are going to learn constructor and destructor in Python. A constructor is a special kind of method that Python calls when it instantiates an object using the definitions found in your class. Python relies on the constructor to perform tasks such as initializing, assigning value to, and initializing any instance variable that the object will need when it starts. Constructors can also verify that there are enough resources for the object and perform any other startup tasks you can think of. The name of a constructor is always the same in it. The constructor can accept arguments when necessary to create the objects. When you create a class without a constructor, Python automatically creates a default constructor for you that doesn't do anything. Every class must have a constructor even if it is simply relies on the default constructor. So let's take an example of constructor. The following step demonstrate how to create a default constructor. Creating a class example where we have put the init method as the constructor and we are not passing anything in this init method, and the default value we are assigning to the attributes or properties of the object is none. So this constructor is a default constructor where we are passing nothing and the attributes are initialized with some default values. Now let's take another example having a parameterized constructor. So in this example you can see we are passing EID, name and department to be initialize the attributes of the object with these values. So self.eid will be initialized with EID and similarly the others. Now let's see another example where having default parameterized constructor. So in default parameterized constructor, each of the variable that we are passing having some values assigned to it. EID is none, name is none, department, the default value for department is SCED. So here the default value is given and the value is assigned or passed in this manner only. So suppose if you are going to call this example or trying to create an object of this example class, so you have to pass the values in the same order you have defined here in this default parameterized constructor. So you cannot pass first name then EID. You have to first pass name, then first you have to pass EID, then name, then department. And suppose if you don't have EID but you have name, so it's not like that. You can pass name here. First you need to pass EID, then you need to pass the name. So in this way we can define. We will see the live example how to do this. Now, the next topic is the destructor, destroying the objects. Like in other language, C++ and Java, there is a destructor which is used to create or used to free the memory occupied by the object. Here in Python also we have a garbage collector which is used to recollect the memory occupied by the object. So just like a constructor is used to create and initialize an object, a destructor is used to destroy the object and perform the final cleanup in Python. Although in Python we do have a garbage collector to clean up the memory, but it's not just memory which has to be freed when an object is dereferenced or destroyed. It can be a lot of other resources as well, like closing opening files, closing database connections, cleaning up the buffer or cache, etc. Hence we say When we say the final cleanup, it doesn't only mean cleaning up the memory resources. The del method is considered as the destructor method. So let's see how we can use this method to destroy a class object. Here is an example of a class where we have created a class using init method which print object created. Now we have declared a special method called del, which start with double underscore and end with double underscore, and it prints the object destroy whenever an object of this class is deleted, manually or explicitly or implicitly. So here for a code, creating an object, my object example, and to delete the object we can use this del keyword to delete the object. So when we are calling explicitly the object, this method is going to be called, but if you forget to call this method, still this method is going to be called. So this method is going to be called whenever an object is dereferenced or deleted from the memory. Del method, this del method is called for an object when the reference count for that object becomes 0. It will get called automatically. So let's see an example of constructor and destructor that we have seen. I'm going to create one simple class called example, and here in this example class right now I'm not going to pass anything. So self.eid is equals to none, or the default value which you want. Here the eid is again none, sorry, it's a name. Self.department equals to none. So here we have created a class called example with 3 instance attribute. Now let's create an object of this example class. We don't need to pass anything in this because it's not taking any parameter. So let's print the dictionary of this class. And if we execute, you can see here department none, eid none, and name is none. So in this way we can define a default constructor. Now let's see another example. Parameterized constructor. So in parameterized constructor we need to pass the parameter at the time of creating the object of the class, name, eid name, and department. So I'm going to use this eid name and department to initialize it, and I'm going to pass here eid name and department. So now if we execute this, we will see that this attribute is initialized with department etx, eid1, and name Ravi. So this is the parameterized constructor. Now you can see the default parameterized constructor. In this default parameterized, we are passing some default values. So these values can be used at the time of initializing if you are not going to pass those values here. Name is none, and the department I am going to set as CET. So this value can be used if I forget to pass any of this value, like I am passing this. then the department value of this E variable will hold SCET. So we can see here in our output, you can see the department hold SCET. Okay, so this is the default parameterized constructor. And let's see the example of destructor. So we need to define the destructor in class def underscore del, and just printing the message. I'm just printing this object destroyed. So here you can see the object is get destroyed, and the message will print after this ticked message, object destroyed. This is destroyed implicitly. Garbage collector is called and it deletes or dereference this object. So this del method will be called automatically. You can also call implicitly, you can also call explicitly this del method to delete this object E. Still we are going to get the same output, object is destroyed. So I hope you have understand the constructor and parameterized constructor, default parameterized constructor and destructor in Python. Thank you for watching this video.